I'm like,
You got like
oh
Wendy
my God,
Fortino there, and I
this
was
is
girl
losing it.
crushing over her. You know, like you had Whitney Jones. I was like, Holy Mary, Mother and Joseph. Like this is the girl that I was like crushing on. 15 years ago, 20 years ago.
Wendy Fortino, like who
Yeah,
we're both
Wendy.
crushed on for how many years, and
I think she was like number 2 or number 3 episode of Go Figure. She was one of the first girls we reached out to.
my fave was there, Maggie
I love
Watson,
her.
because I
Oh, Maggie.
freaking love Maggie. Oh my God, I just look at her body and I'm just like, how have you not won an Olympia? Like how? I don't understand. Like she's different. Like she's different than Sid, but she's so good. She's just so. I just love looking at her.
Mm.
Her proportions and her.
Her proportions when like she stands there, you go, oh wow, and then she goes, oh, and you're like,
Yeah, and you're just like, whoa.
she's like
And
she's like
she's
the
super
X-frame.
lovely. She's so
Yeah.
beautiful too. Such a kind, lovely woman.
Yeah, that's what I want. Well, that's what we plan to do, but all depends on how I react. Also, my body response, but also the thing that we always we as me and my coach, that my beginning of the year is very, very hectic because, I have a private practice. And as you know, everybody wants to do magic things in January, that everything that they erase on
The magic
December.
fairy
So
dust.
yeah.
I want to
So
get
I'm
lean
very,
today.
yes. So I'm very, very stressed. I mean, so obviously that always takes a toll, right?
Mm.
In your body. So I
It's
try to
such a
do,
hard call.
yeah. And then also, I always like to enjoy my preps. I think when they are not enjoyable, you start doing things like, I mean, when you enjoy your preps, you don't even crave as much, right? I mean, you crave because it's normal and
But
you're
you
not
get
in
over
real,
it.
You do,
yeah,
you
right?
do.
But when you're not, it's very, very hard, right?
Yeah, totally. Do you like a long prep, Ericka, or do you do a more shorter prep? Like, what's your sort of sweet spot, I guess, with how long you like to get ready for?
We always kind of set like 12 weeks, like it's like 3 months. But
I
I
was gonna
have
say, because
seen,
you're not super, like you never, I wouldn't say that you are ever out of shape. Like I was looking at you just now thinking, oh, you could be totally ready in under 12 weeks. Like totally. Yeah. Like I'm just gonna
the thing
find a
is,
stage for you, just compare, put you on the stage.
the thing is that yes, I think I never let myself go, but it's because of the
Uh-oh.
hypothyroid. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
always, when I was starting the bodybuilding, I I think it sounds weird that I said this, but I think I put muscle real fast, but my fat comes down like slower. I
Yeah.
always tell my clients that it happens. Like, there are people that are hard gainers, they're very easy to get lean, right? To get lean,
Yeah.
they come lean very fast, but they
Yeah.
are hard gainers.
Yeah.
And people that it's like very like easy to get
Like
muscle very
naturally
fast.
and more androgenic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always get that. I mean, people always tell me that I'm dense, that I'm very dense, that I'm very dense. So I think for me it's easy to get muscle, but not very easy to come down. So
Yeah.
I try always not uh to not go up on my weight so much.
Because then
So I always
it's a lot
end up,
harder to come back, and then you're having to deal with the
yes,
imbalances in other hormones, not just the hypothyroidism,
yes.
to have to
Yes,
just get you back to
and
ground
to tell
zero.
you about the truth, when I in Guatemala, it was different a little bit because before the federation divided, remember when they used to be like the same, the elite, IFBB elite, and then okay.
Yeah.
So when I was an amateur, the Guatemala Olympic Committee and the federation, they were together with the bodybuilding
Yeah.
federation, and obviously we got tested, drug tested like a lot. So if you were a bodybuilding, an amateur bodybuilding, you couldn't use anything. I mean, not even like not any kind of pharmaceutical. You have to
So no anti-estrogen blockers, no pharmaceutical
no,
fat
yeah,
burning,
No
those sort of
pairs.
things.
Yeah.
Yep.
yes. So I spent like a very a very long time not using a thing. And my muscle was very dense back then.
Yeah.
So I
It's
tend to
you
do,
can see it's your genetics. It's your genetics. It's like Lisa. I don't know, me personally, I think you're a little bit similar, like in terms of like even your shape of your shoulders. I'm watching you both and I'm like, oh, very similar. Yeah. Yeah. Density, like, but it's a natural, like it's you built that way.
yeah, yeah. Give me a minute.
You're right. A little puppy. I can hear him in the background. He's like
He
barking
might do
away.
a cameo and come in.
Yeah,
Get
like my
introduced.
cat last night.
Sorry, it's my dog.
Oh,
dog was-
like bring him in. That's all good.
My dog was
We're family
barking
friendly here.
because she wanted to she was in the room with me and she wanted to go away, so she was
She's like,
barking.
I'm done here.
So
When you talk, Mum.
so because for me it's easier to maintain my muscle but harder to lose fat. I try not to go over the weight that I supposed
Yeah.
to, but for me, my coach and I, we have always said like 12 weeks, but I personally like when my preps are longer. Like
Yes.
for instance, if I do a show I prepare for 12 weeks, and if I do a show and then like 2 months in, I have to go and do another show, I think I look better. I think that's for
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agree.
But what I have noticed that sometimes people says that they don't like to do a show after show after show because her body resents it.
Yours gets better.
I think mine doesn't. I think mine likes it. Likes it when I treat it harsh.
It's like your body is like, I will sleep on planes. I will peak when I shouldn't. Like,
I will do
it's like the
everything
opposite.
back to front.
Yes.
See, we're the opposite to that. Like, if the more shows I do, the worse I get, because for me, getting the muscle on is hard. Getting the fat off is easy. I mean, I think we've talked about this. I said, between you and me, we've got the perfect body. I've got the back, you've got the legs. We just kind of like cut ourselves in half and then go on stage. We should be right.
Yes.
But you're right,
So funny.
like, and then as you age, you have other factors of, how long it takes to recover, how much you can actually push yourself. What is showing up on the stage these days as well? Like, and are we just gonna show up the way that we want to look, or are we going to show up what's being rewarded as well, which is another factor to consider. And then you, like you said before, you've got the finances and the opportunities in terms of locality and shows as well. Like I think you said in Guatemala, it's not big there. You have to travel to the States. Like Rose and I are the same. Like if we want to compete in the IFBB as professionals, there are no pro shows for figure girls anywhere in Australia or Asia or New Zealand or within a 16-hour flight.
Yes.
I'm like, we need to have shows in Japan now that this Masters one's being done. I'm like, pro show in Japan, guys, come on. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, because they do have it. I think it's just bikini, right?
I think it's just bikini. Yeah, because we've looked at it before, because it would be a perfect show because it's like 8-hour flight from us.
1 hour
So
time. Yeah.
I think, didn't Korea had a figure show?
Korea.
Korea did have
did,
first time
actually.
this year. Last year. Like, so first time last year they had a
Right.
it was in May, I think. Was it May?
Because I remember this girl like from Korea. I don't remember the name, but
Dominique.
she's
No?
very, she has a very good shape, but I think she didn't do the Olympia last year, but she did the previous 2 years. And I think she used to get her pass in the Korean show or the Japan show or something like that.
Right. Yeah, so
Yeah, I think
I've only
it,
been aware of, probably because we've only been on the pro circuit for 12 months, 2 years.
The
But like from
Hawaii
what,
show. I don't know why they don't put figure into the Hawaii one too, because that'd be easier for us to get to as well.
Mm.
Like there's
Hawaii.
so many
Oh,
places
yes.
that, yeah, that we could get to, but Hawaii doesn't have the figure division either. It's just bikini.
Yeah,
Well, at
get a
least
bigger show in
now I
Australia.
have one closer. I mean, for my first year, there was Mexico, the Mexico one that
Oh
they
yeah.
only did it once, and then lat 23 till last year, and this year's also, they're gonna do it. They actually they increase the divisions that are going to that show. Is the Colombian show. The
Oh, I
Colombian show
heard
is
about that one. Yes, yes,
Oh,
yes.
right.
I
And does
did.
that have figure?
yes.
Yes, I
Yeah.
actually the first one, I think it was in Bogota. And the first one that 'cause it's a similar show, but the first Colombia show is called Colombia Pro AM, and the first one was in Bogota, and it only had figure and another one. I think one of a men's one. I don't recall which one was it, but it only had figure. And then last year, I think it had more like wellness. I think I don't remember. And figure, and this year, if you see like the post that they already had, they already made it the Instagram account, they have more, way more divisions, including figure.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So good. You know,
Good.
it,
Yeah, last year I think they were like, I think it's becoming a little bit more popular because last year I think they were only like 12. I don't remember.
well,
Something like that.
you know, it's interesting you say figures getting a lot more popular.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's because it's the next step up for a lot of athletes or a step down from those that don't want to go further one way. It's kind of like that middle ground. So if you look at figure and the physiques, it's a really vast variety of bodies that we're looking at. It's probably one of the most confusing to some aspect because you've got, you know, like we were talking about this, like we've got that real classic look, you know, that Wendy Fortino look. And then you have like you know, Reyes and you know, and Jessica, like is a very dense still figure, but very, you know, like strong and shredded look. And then everything in between. So
Yes.
you know, when I
Yeah.
first entered the sport, it was my understanding was it was a 30% step up from bikini, you know, like in condition and muscularity. Whereas now it could be that, or it could be double that. And so I think that one thing that I personally would like to see in the sport is a little bit more continuity and less confusion. And it's interesting, like the different parties and the different bodies that are responsible from doing that come down to the coaches, the athletes, the judges, and also the head federations. Like everyone has a role to play. But if you were to, like, you know, let's say if you were to be a judge, or if you were to write the criteria for a figure division, what would be your epitome of figure?
Well, I'm gonna I'm gonna talk about mostly on the physique, and I'm not gonna use like a girl as an
Oh
example.
gosh, no.
Yeah,
We're talking
that's
about
okay.
like
But
your
it's
That's
shape,
different.
like
Yeah, I
like
think
if you, yeah.
I think I like figure how it's now. Um, Obviously because this is the years that I'm competing. I like when how figure started. I started doing figure when the champion was Nicole
Wilkins.
Wiggins.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
Nicole
and
Wilkins.
I
That's a
love that
yeah,
physique. But
me
now
too.
that figure, as other sports have evolved, I like this look and figure. I think instead of like last year, I think like I will say for me, the top 3 last year, top 4 last, because I'm gonna include Natalia. I think that's kind of like the figure look that I personally like. But what I think, if I was a judge, or if I could like
Have an
write
influence.
down like
Yeah.
the guidelines, right? I think figure needs to have like at least certain amount of characteristics that divide figure from woman's physique. And I know if you talk to a judge, and if you go to NPC, it says that, but it doesn't apply when it comes to the shows. So I think I know everybody, when this new division appear, like the fit model appear, it has its haters and it has its fans. But what I
Yeah.
like about that, when they announced the division, is that they said very clearly that they're not gonna allow like a
Crossover.
crossovers. And I understand that, because I could understand that, because that lets that division from confusing the coaches, the athletes. And I think that's the thing. I mean, if you set the standard for the figure, but if that figure can easily cross over to women's, I think that's not a figure, right? I mean,
Yeah, I
just to
think you're
set the
right.
standard that
Yes.
it couldn't, I mean, it couldn't not cross over to women's, like in the same show, to women's physique in the same show.
Yeah.
Because that's I think that's the most that confuses all the girls, because in some shows, girls that are big, harder, that look like women's, but with heels, the wheel shows. And in other shows with the girls that look mostly like figure it's supposed to look, right? So I think, like you said, that they have like mostly like a standardized, I'm not sure if I'm saying it correct, but the
Yeah, you are.
standardized look for figure. That's what I would like to see.
I
Like a
would love to see
standardized
that.
look for figure. I think, I don't know if you think so, but I think in Olympia it always happens. In Olympia it always happens,
Yeah,
because you can see.
I think the Olympia gets it right. I think the
Yeah,
Olympia gets it
Those
can
right.
top
see.
3 to 4,
Yeah, so yes,
100%. And then after
because
that, sometimes it's subjective. It's
yes,
subjective. It could go
because
either way.
you can
Yeah.
see that sometimes in the Olympia it doesn't apply what you see in the other shows. Like, for instance, if I competed against YMC, and she won a show, and then at the Olympia I won the show, or I won more spots ahead than her. But I know that the shows, it depends on a lot of factors, right? And yeah, I know you could look your best on one show and not your best another. I understand that, but let's say if the girls look just alike the way she came to that show, and they still, the girl that
Yes.
wins in one show doesn't win to the girl that lose with her in the last show. That, I
100%.
mean, that's why I said that Olympia sometimes, not sometimes, most of the time, I think it gets it right. What
Yeah.
it gets us confusing is, or confused, are the other shows.
I
Not only
agree.
shows,
Sometimes,
but
there have been those shows where you sort of, the look, and I'm with you on the whole thing. Like, it must be difficult for the judges. I understand that they're judging who they've got there on the day, but there is a slide. I feel like there's a slide up in the categories at some shows where it's like what you're saying, that girl could literally step out of that category, go onto the women's physique stage and win. Not just
Place, at least in the top.
not just place,
Yeah.
win the physique division, and she's winning the figure division. And it's like, that's a level of muscular development that I feel like it's the level of muscular development that they need to standardize. It's like, because you can give all of the vague, oh, we'd like to see this, but unless you say like, no, we're not going to reward like extreme muscularity and this is kind of what we want to see, I think that's where it goes wrong. And I get it. Like that girl, she might look the most impressive on the stage. I get that. But is she fitting the criteria? Yes, I know that striated glutes look really impressive on stage against a softer girl. I get that, but that's not the category. So, and I see that time and time again being rewarded, the striated, really hard.
Very
But then
dense
you'll go to another
muscle.
show
Yeah.
and the soft girl gets rewarded. And I'm
Mm.
like, that's where to me that there does need to be a standard. I'd rather see a girl that's really impressive, has an amazing physique and striations and all that kind of stuff going on, but doesn't meet the criteria. I'd rather see the softer girl on stage win. I really would, so that we can keep the category down, because it's rewarding those girls that keeps dragging it up, because people see that and then they go, oh, that's how I need to look to win a show.
Yes.
Or I need to look better than that to win.
Yeah, and I also feel that that's influencing some of the abuse and not use of other
Compounds.
substances in, you know, we're seeing a lot of abuse now, I feel, in the sport rather than just smart use, you know? Yeah.
Yes. That was exactly that I was saying to you. I think last year, and I also don't remember which show, but I remember that I saw that show because I had a client in the amateurs, I think. I don't remember. And I was watching the show when I was the figure division. One of the top 10 Olympians, and I'm not gonna say her name, but I think she was doing it, right? And she got like fifth place or sixth place. And the first two, I don't remember, they look like really big. And I think they were very, very lean, but I mean, they didn't have like the figure look, you know? They were looking very lean. And I asked her, even I think I asked her on Instagram, and I was like, what did they say? And she was like, they said I need to come like I did at the Olympia or something like that, she said. But that's what I was saying, that sometimes in other shows, I know that every show is different and your body responds differently, but I mean, just like to get like that standardization, right?
I agree.
Continuity.
And like, for example, like seeing girls on the stage that have really, their natural shape is very up and down. And you know that it is. They've got really thick, wide waists. And they're winning shows against girls that go,
they've got the natural
like
taper.
the X frame. And I'm like, why are you rewarding the girl with the really wide waist? Like, I'm not throwing shade at the girl. Like, I'm sure she's an amazing competitor, but she doesn't have the X frame. She doesn't have the waist and the lat to waist ratio going on, which is what we see now when we read the criteria. That's what they ask for. So for me, it's even the shapes that are being rewarded. I'm a bit like, whoa, what is going on here?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, I understand that the sports needs like conditioning, shape, and size to certain
Degree,
amount. But and obviously they have to have the one that displays the three at its best. It will be the one who wins. But obviously they still have to have the three. I mean,
yeah, and that's
right?
what I think.
Not
I
just big
feel
and
like the
lean, but
weighting,
also good shape, right?
yeah.
Even though it
100%.
doesn't have like, right.
But I think you're right. I think you touched on a good point from what I've sort of observed sitting back. It's not all of the shows. It's some shows that seem to reward the muscularity or weight the muscularity part of the scoring very, very highly, whereas the shape and symmetry is kind of down. It's like, this is figure. It should be all about shape and shape and symmetry. We shouldn't, the girl with the more muscularity should never be winning against shape and symmetry, like never. So if you're rewarding that first, that's your first where you've gone wrong, I think personally. Like, I mean, to me, I'd rather see the girl with the figure shape, the X frame, that might be a little bit softer and not have the muscularity winning, as opposed to the girl that
Who has
doesn't have any
enough muscularity for
doesn't
the
have
criteria.
shape, but has huge muscle and she's really lean.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think that's the part that sometimes makes the division less interesting for people who is trying to become a bodybuilder, right? Because they I'm not sure. I mean, I have clients that are like, I have a client that's bikini that now is transitioning to wellness because she's kind of like more wellness look. And I remember that at the beginning, she was like, yeah, I don't want to be that big. I don't want to be that big. And she never told me that she didn't like figure, but she's like, no, I don't want to be big. I don't want to be big. But then after she was very familiarized with the show and she started notice them, like for instance, Sydney or me, and she was like, I like figure. She was like, I like figure. They are not as big as I thought. She was telling me. But it's because probably if she saw a show and she got like a glaze of a figure that was very hard and big. She thought that's the way she needed to look, and that's why most people prefer to do like wellness or bikini
I
because they
agree. I think
think
it's
we're big,
alienating. Yeah.
and we're
Yeah.
not that big.
No. That's the thing. Sid, yourself. And that's why I think that's why we try to explore this so much on the podcast, to kind of let girls know that, look, we get what you're saying. Like, because I think sometimes too, when the league doesn't acknowledge this, it girls aren't stupid. Like, we need to be honest with them. Like, yes, I get what you're saying. Yes, some shows do reward the big hard girls that they probably shouldn't. You know, that's the truth. Like, that is the truth. And I think the more that that's acknowledged, the more we will bring girls back to the category, because there are girls like you placing super, super well that aren't massive, and like you're quite shocked when you see Sid in real life, because you're like, oh, you're tiny, like like yeah. So I think you're right that it's about I think the Olympia gets it really right, and I think I'd love to see that being pushed across all of the
rest of the shows.
The rest of the show. And
Yeah.
I think 2025 is going to be a very interesting year. We've got Missy jumping into figure. We've got Shanae, who is a physique, going into wellness. We've got obviously Sid, who's retired now as well. We have a different we've got new blood coming through into the Olympia level, and it would be really interesting to see where figure, where wellness, where physique, where bodybuilding in the respective female categories really do end up over the next 12 months. This sport, if you look at the physiques, have evolved tremendously since Nicole Wilkins' days. Like, that wouldn't even be bikini these days,
Yeah.
So one of the things that I would love to see the Federation do is tweak the criteria, amend the criteria, update the criteria so that it's in language that is able to be dissected and also understood by the judges, the athletes, so that it actually blends in with what is actually across the board, generally speaking, being rewarded. And I would love to see all judges go on retrains. I don't know if they do this. They have retrains, or they have judges forums where they all get together and they go back to what is in that criteria. They're getting those upskillings, they're getting those trainings. That's what I would love to see.
Yeah, and I think they are on their way to do that. I think things that they are starting to do, like for instance, like the the reviews that Tyler Mannion is doing. I like them. I mean, it gets you like an idea of why and what they are looking for. right?
Yeah.
Why they award those physiques, and why are they looking for it? And it's
It's
kind of like,
interesting too, because I think Tyler's a bit sort of the same. Like when I listened to him, he was talking about one of the shows in particular and was saying that the winner was right on the edge. Because we were kind of going, why did that person win that show? Not that we have anything against the person, but yes, definitely at the top of the world, really at the top. So it was good to hear that from Tyler to say, oh, good, he's also noticing this.
yeah. I like the I think those are like the steps that are taken to improve bodybuilding and make it like a great sport. And they do have to do it because they have to take an advantage of what the media, the social media is doing with the industry. I mean,
Yeah.
it's giving us an edge, right? To get to be known, but you know that even though the sometimes it's a little bit more complicated than just saying that I'm a bodybuilder and I'm a bodybuilder and I compete. But I think the social media is helping us to like give the message to everybody, right? Before it used
I,
to be like, they only
yeah.
go there and they use drugs and that's it. I mean, I could be like that if I use drugs too, but now
Yeah.
people get understand more. And
Mm.
I'm telling you this because most of the people, I do have a lot of athletes that I prep, but most of the people that go to my clinic, because the athletes that I prep, they do it like online, you know, they like to go and do the check-ins like on video and stuff. But most of the people that I see one on one, they are like lifestyle people, like lifestyle clients, and I can listen to them. And when I get like a lot of this generation, like 20 people in their 20s, in their 17s, in their teens, they are always like, I know anabolics is and everything, and I know this isn't. I mean, they are like more into it, right?
Yeah.
So I think they have to take an advantage of that social media exposure to get the bodybuilding to be like a great sport. As it is.
I'm gonna add on that right now. I'm gonna look at the other angle of social media. So it is great because it gets the message out, and as long as you're listening to the right people or getting the information from the right sources and peer-reviewed studies, as opposed to like bro science, or what you do have and what we have noticed a lot of is a real surgence in these what I would call muscle admirers. You know, they run podcasts, they have information sites, and they have no experience in bodybuilding other
No.
than being, like admiring
Admirers.
events, right? They have no background training as coaches or judges, or understand any of the federations, not just the IFBB. And the general consensus tends to be, and what they're showing up in some of those stories are these incredibly androgenic individuals, interviewing them and then talking about the
How
profiles
wonderful.
that
Yeah.
they're and the compounds that they're on. And this is getting out to, like you said, the teenagers, the kids that are in their 20s,
Yes.
and it tends to be, well, is that the gold standard? So I almost feel like the league itself needs to be the loudest voice in the room when it comes to that, because you're getting drowned out by all these, different media channels that, yes, are promoting bodybuilding, but I don't think they're promoting it in the light that
That
that they
no.
need to be
And
promoting
it's
it in.
not like viewed very well. Like you gotta understand that we're in the sport, like we're in it. We what we're seeing is normal to us. But outsider people looking in go, why is there a channel like with a 14-year-old boy on there talking about the peds he's on? Like at 14 years of age, that's a terrible, terrible message. And it's not one that the league would want to be associated with, because you know, you got parents then coming down going, you're never going to go and be a bodybuilder. You're not doing that. Like, that's terrible. Like, it's really bad for your health. Even I noticed with that post, a lot of bodybuilders were coming onto that going, this should be taken down and this is not okay.
This is child
But
abuse, essentially.
this is child abuse. But you know what I mean? There are some of these pages that like are aligning themselves and being like, oh yes, we interview IFBB people and all that, and they're doing things like that, and it's a terrible message.
And I'm gonna add to that. I'm gonna add to that as well. Do you see Sid Gillen, Jessica, Natalia,
Ericka,
Sherry going on to these muscle admiring channels and promoting? No, you don't. Well, I'm sorry, but you guys are the gold standard. You guys are the benchmark. That's what you need to be looking at. And
Yes.
anything underneath that is essentially a watered down version, respectively speaking. So I think that that's a message that I kind of like wanted to convey with you to get your opinion on it. Have you seen this on social media? Have you been exposed to channels that are, you know, muscle admiring women or men and making promotions that would maybe be in conflict with your line of work and in conflict with your values?
Yes, but I think social media has obviously not only on bodybuilding, but on everything. It cons and its pros, and that's what I was trying to say. Like when I said that the IFBB, it has to take an advantage of the social media exposure, but obviously use it for their good, like a superhero. Use the
Yes.
power for their good. That's
Yeah.
the same thing here. I think most of the athletes and most if you are like a very good coach and you try to use your social media to explain that things. I know there's a lot of, I don't know, a lot of bullshit also on the social media.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah, and because I have been always obviously I have seen those kind of posts, but like you said, you will never see like a high elite athlete doing those kind of appearing in those kind of blogs or posts. It's mostly people that even that even though they don't look like a bodybuilder, sometimes they are the ones that are starting and or just like you said, commenting. Sometimes I don't know if you have seen it, that you can see one or two people that all, even though they are coaches, they use their social media for the evil, but for the evil.
Oh, yeah.
But mostly, right? Mostly, you will see, like you said, fans, right? Last, I don't know, like a couple of months, I remember I saw like a post of a guy, I think it's a Spanish guy that likes to comment on bodybuilding.
Oh, yes.
And
Yes, I know the one you're talking about.
it's
Yeah.
a young guy, it's a young guy, and he was like, look at this bodybuilder. He just prepared himself like in 6 weeks or something like that. And was from here to here, and he was top 5 of the Olympia. I think he was talking about Eric Banks or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, not even the real Eric Banks was doing that, but in this post, and he talked about all the anabolics and steroids that he was using, and yeah, I know what you mean, but I think also we cannot control everything. I mean, we can control what we do with our social media, the IFBB, how it projects the sport, but obviously you cannot control all these trolls or these people, because it comes with a job in every kind of job, right?
Any
Yeah.
occupation. This is anywhere. We're just talking about bodybuilding because that's our
Yeah.
occupation. You know, that's
Yeah.
our sport.
It happens to me all the time in nutrition. I'm a board certified nutrition, and I see so many wrong posts that I'm like, oh no, but you know what?
Oh, like
I
the
always
ones,
say like,
the ones where they go to the supermarket and go, if it fits within your macros, and it might be like, like an ice cream. It's only, 100 calories and is 20 grams of protein. Like they're using like food that isn't really food.
yeah, or misinterpreting the
Misinterpreting.
evidence.
Yeah.
Misinterpreting the evidence
Yes.
is also. I see so many things of this. I mean, in Guatemala, it was very, very like um, on the glucose. Uh,
Oh, the glucose patch, the blood sugar levels.
yeah, the blood. Yeah, to
Yes,
read
yeah.
the blood sugar levels, and it was very fashionable. So people like this, they started using it just because.
It's gone here
And
everywhere as well.
it started to cause like a pandemic. Like people start to worry on sugar levels when they didn't need to, right? And it was because of the social media. But here again, we cannot control if the audience is believing something that is not. I mean, what
That's
we can
right. You can
control
only
is
put
how
out,
we, yeah,
yeah,
what we put out, how we express the world, and I think that's what the IVV and all the athletes should focus on, like, and try
yes, on the good
yeah,
ones, on the good, positive,
yeah,
like the
yeah,
positive
because
messages.
I know
Yeah,
every sport has as good as and it's not so good stuff. But I mean, if you do it, the bodybuilding the way it's supposed to, you can focus on the good stuff, right?
yes,
And
so
Yeah.
true.
and that's what
Yeah.
I try to do, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
To always like promote the good part of the bodybuilding.
the good part of it. Yeah,
Bodybuilding, putting federations aside, is so much more than stepping into some high heels and a little bikini that shows 3/4 of your backside. And so much more than professional flexing. It's a lifestyle, and it also, and I did this in a post today, and I'm like, bodybuilding is a platform to help you overreach and become a better version of yourself, and to challenge yourself to face things like limiting beliefs, negative emotions, limitations, traumas that you may have had to overcome. So in terms of like your mental health, emotional health, your spiritual health, in terms of your hormonal and physical health and longevity as well, like bodybuilding is bodybuilding. It's not body distorting. It's not body starving. It's not steroid building. It's so much more than that. So whether you're an IFBB pro, whether you're an IFBB elite, whether you do NABA, whether you do PMBA, whatever federation it is that you do, is don't distort bodybuilding for what it really is.
Yes, I agree.
yeah,
I couldn't
Absolutely.
describe it. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
so with that said, you've got one more year. You're gonna
Yes.
You've got this bit. This is your 1 year. We are definitely looking at the Masters Olympia. So I'll speak to you off air and get you all that information, because we would love to see you there and meet you face to face. Like, what an absolute honor.
Amazing. Oh my God. It was so cool.
That'd be so amazing, right?
I would have met all my faves then.
Same.
Yeah.
I think so. Yep. Then we can hang our heels up too, because we've looked at the sport as well, and Rose and myself definitely want to embark on more of the coaching side and other business ventures. So it's more than likely going to be one of our last shows as well. And that's the first everyone's heard about it too. And in order to us to kind of like go out on that high, and being able to meet yourself and Jess and everyone else, like, I don't look at who you compete for. I look at you, and you inspire me. Like, Rose is exactly the same.
Yeah.
I wish you could do some of your stories in English so I could
Yes, I
understand
know.
them.
That's the only thing. I'm like,
Or
can
have
you speak in
subtitles.
English?
I'm gonna try. You know that I always get that of the girls that I meet backstage, other competitors. They are like, "Oh, we should know what are you saying." And I'm like,
Yes,
"Okay,
I'm like,
I'm gonna try."
you're such a
You need to
voice.
get an AI chatbot that can like translate for you. Get a chatbot. They can do it. They can do it. They can translate your stuff to English.
Like you said, like subtitles. You mean?
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yes.
I don't have to record in English and then
No,
in
no, no,
Spanish.
no, no. Just subtitles, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, just
Yeah.
get it like that, and then that way we can listen, because I know that, I mean, you're a certified nutritionist. You're not just a comp, this is your profession, right? And there aren't
Yes.
many people in bodybuilding that are certified nutritionists,
No,
dietitians,
there's not.
that you know,
And
study
who also
endocrinology.
understands like the thyroid stuff and
Not many.
hormones.
A lot of what you learn is, or a lot of what the coaches have learned is just trial and error and just Googling online rather than going through the process
Yeah.
of it. So
Bro science.
I just think there's some things that you say, that some words that I can pick up because I'm Italian, I can understand a little bit of the Latin dialect. That I'm like, oh, that'd be really interesting if, you know, that'd be really good.
I knew what she was saying.
For the rest of the
I
audience.
knew what she was saying.
Because sometimes I go to share it, Ericka. I go to share it and I was like, I fucking can't share this. No one understands it.
Yes. Yeah, I promise I'm gonna work on this in the 2025. It's gonna be one of my
Okay,
Yeah.
your audience goes from here to here now. Like you'll get all the Aussie girls. And that's why we love getting you on. And we'll probably, you know, even after you retire, I know you're always going to have your foot in bodybuilding, and we'll still keep getting you on, you know.
Yeah, about your business and about what you're,
exactly,
totally.
exactly.
That's why I love bodybuilding so much, because I mean, not only well, it connects you with people, but also it helps you to understand everything about your body. And I'm not only talking about physically. I always tell my clients that when you can connect at that level to your body, you can understand. Like I told you that when I'm not sleeping well, I'm like, yeah, that's my progesterone. I mean, you can easily say, understand what's going on.
What's going on?
Yeah, it's like I think the body, it's like your mind. I think like nowadays when you have like so many screens, like the phone and the I don't know, the television, and you have your iPad, and you have so many things like to watch that you cannot focus on one thing. I think the body when it's like receiving like I don't know, like an antibiotic or like a medicine, and receiving this kind of processed food that has, I know, so many chemics that he doesn't know. When he's receiving so many information, he cannot even understand himself, right?
Yeah,
But
so
what
true.
we
There's
do,
so many, yes.
yeah, what we do is like we give him only the things that it needs, that we kind of listen to it more, right?
So
And we
true.
kind of
Yes.
right? We kind of
Yes.
listen to it more, because now you understand that this is, I mean, like a stupid example, you can understand that this is like very salty, even though you don't think it is. And also things like, oh, something's wrong with my hormones, or something's wrong with my gut, or right? You things so small that the cues, the little cues that this is hunger, this is not hunger, this is just anger. I'm just angry because I am just angry with my partner, with my kids. It's not hunger, because we tend to confuse this kind of signal, right?
It's like
Yeah.
it's the psychology of eating too, isn't it? It's like the
absolutely.
phases of nourishment that your body goes through, and being able to like connect with that and know the signals and the messages. And that, I think we live in such a society that is disassociated between mind and body.
Mind and body, yeah.
Yeah.
I think everything's designed to break that connection. Everything is designed to break that connection. Even, you know, the estrogens that are in our containers, in our foods, and the different things that we should be avoiding, like never eat out of plastic, anybody. Like, you know what I mean? Just like
don't drink tap water.
Yeah, don't drink tap water, you know, just like there's so many substances that are designed to break our connection between mind and body.
Yes, yeah. So I will always do bodybuilding, even though I don't compete.
I love that.
You know,
Love that. Yeah.
I'm so glad you said that. When I was in America in 2000, in New York, it was the first time to America, 2005. It was December 2005, so first time I'd ever experienced snow in New York. And I had only just signed up with a coach before I left to do my first ever show and compete in 2006. And what I learned while I was over there in terms of bodybuilding is in Australia, bodybuilding is you get in a bikini, you get on stage. In America, bodybuilding is a hobby. It's a lifestyle. It's like, oh, I go to the gym, I bodybuild. They don't necessarily go on stage. And that was like a game changer for me because it's so true. You don't need to get on stage to be a bodybuilder.
I totally agree.
Right? It's like,
And I think people that have never even been on stage are bodybuilders. I think that anybody, like, I mean, I train with a guy and I've trained with him for 12 years. He's totally a bodybuilder. He is a bodybuilder. He keeps himself lean year round. He trains like a bodybuilder. He's never been on stage and he never will get on a stage, but he is a bodybuilder.
and if you break that down, it's to build the body.
Build the
And
body. Yeah.
you're building this, you're evolving and you're growing, and that's your hobby, right? So when I look at bodybuilding, it's like it's in us. It's going to be in us forever. It's what we do. It's our values.
Totally.
It's our way of life.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. If even though if this is my last year or not.
That's it.
Love it. Love it.
I keep on saying that or not because I remember the first time when I got my pro card, I had competed for I don't know how many years. I started competing on 2013 and I won my pro card in 2018. So it's 5 years, right? So I remember in that time with my husband, we used to say, when you win your pro card, so you're gonna retire. And I'm like, yes.
That was me.
Right? And
Yeah,
then I won my pro card, and then he said, "Well, we might try like just one show, just your pro debut." So I did, and I think I got like seventh. I don't remember. And so he's like, "Let's try another one." And then our mission was like to go and to the stage of Olympia, and we decided that once I got into the stage of Olympia, I will retire. So on 22 that I got to the stage of Olympia, we said, well, yeah, mission accomplished. And we did, and I got top 10. I mean, I got 8th place, I think, 9th place, I don't remember. And 8 or 9 or something. And when I got that, he was like, let's try just one more time. Maybe you will go ahead and go higher on the tier. And then I got higher on the tier. And we decided it was the last. And we have been doing this like for a long time. So I said last year, well, this is my
I
last year.
remember
So
you said to us, this is it.
You've got a very understanding husband by the sounds of things. Like, that's good.
It's such
But
a
also says, okay, so in this year you get in the top 5, are you gonna retire? And I'm like, no, of course. So I said, this is my last year, but let's see.
it's really I think it's something that we are constantly thinking of because we've been in the sport for a long time, like we've been bodybuilding competitively for a long time. We are in our 40s. Rose and I are heading into our mid 40s this year. And so it's always, it's always there. It's like I could keep going, but I've also got these things I want to do as well. And then the ratio between doing these things and then doing these things are impacted. And, it just can't.
A lot of things go to the wayside. Let's face it. When you're prepping and you're competing, like lots of things have to suffer.
Yes. Like I said, if you want to succeed at something, you have to be able to focus only on one thing only, right?
Totally.
So it takes a toll on the rest. Yes.
Absolutely. Well, We're going to leave it there for today because we know that Rose has got somewhere to go. I've got somewhere to go. You need to go get your sleep because we know what happens.
Need to go to bed.
We know what happens when you don't get it.
Exactly right. So we just want to thank you so much for coming on board again. We absolutely adore you. You're you're an inspiration, and we love sharing you with the Australian women as well. You know, you are without a doubt one of the best in the world, and I hope Rose and I get to see you at the Masters Olympia this year. We'll chat on stage about that.
Let me start saving.
Start saving. Well, hey, you know what, Ericka, it's going to be a lot cheaper for us than you.
I know. This is the one show that I'm like, okay,
I can afford it.
I think I'm okay with this one. Finally, I don't have to, like, you know, sell parts of my body off or something.
No fans only page this year. One more year.
I have to cut like pieces of myself off and sell. Like, can you take?
I think it's in June, right? Is it in June?
It's in August.
August.
It's in August.
So it's the 9th of it's the 9th of August. I'll get you the details. It was going to be the 23rd. They've brought it forward to the 9th. And the application criteria opens on the 1st of February and then is announced in May.
Great. So I still have time.
For 8 months. I've got a calendar behind me that's counting down the weeks. It's 30 weeks this week, 30 weeks from today.
Yeah, I still have time to save because it's gonna be a lot. No, but yeah, I'm excited. I wanted to try. I think it's a good opportunity for us. I don't think I don't have it in me to keep on going on the open division, but I think it's a good opportunity to open like a new chapter on bodybuilding, right?
I couldn't agree with you more. And if you do come, we'll just get one big house all together.
Yeah, and our cheat meal after, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. All right, my dear, we're going to leave you and love you on that note. Thank you, everyone, for listening to another episode of Go Figure.